So we're in the studio, RCM in Logan Square. It's opened about 2 years ago. Up in this session, I have a song that I released off my project Catch probably like 2 or 3 years ago. My regular job a lot of times includes making, I would say, show tracks. Or some people even call them karaoke tracks to people's shows and music. So I have to do that for myself for this song because I have a show. I actually don't have a show track for this song, Forever Always. So basically, that's what you're hearing in this session, as well as you'll hear like some of this SP12 stuff. I'm gonna lay down some drums to kind of give me a bed to play on top of when I do it live. The SP12 to me, it is a drum sequencer and sampler that you can run sounds into and sample. They end up on your drum pads, you can play them back. It's really awesome. You can mess with the tune or decay very easily on this, as well as the mix. And if you get into it, you can start sequencing out some stuff. But I usually just use the sounds and run them into Ableton or DAW, or if I'm jamming, I just press play on one of the sequences and kind of edit it and do stuff with it. I know that it was used on Frank Ocean's albums, like I know Omos Keith, and then they used the SP12 a ton. And that gave them kind of like a warmer sound to some of those drums. I feel like when you use instruments and technology from this day and age, you get a rush of character and texture. And some people like it, some people it doesn't work with their songs. I'm not a scientist, but I would say some metal or some type of electricity, something, I don't know. Definitely the aging of it, like wine. All right, we got some drums. Went through a very boring process of pressing play and spacebar on the computer, but that enacted some audio, which went in here, which made some cool drums. Got some drums, SP12, amazing thing. If you get a chance to get into any other drum gear that can sample from the SP12, even over to the MPC Live, definitely suggest that. All right, so I don't have this track to play with and have a drummer for my show, so I'm just gonna lay these drums down so I can play over them or do a guitar solo over them at the show. When I'm making show tracks and chopping stuff up, it's cool to be creative, but I like to be cleaner when I do shows, so I might end up quantizing stuff a little bit more, moving some transients around just a little bit more. So I'm just gonna go deeper into my drums, it's just kind of moving them around, so they be a little bit cleaner. This song is always kind of tricky because it's in mixed meter, but if you see on the screen, like I took time before the session to kind of just lay out my metering. If you see on top, yeah, time signature is 11/4, 10/4. It's like really easy to have the program keep up with you. Really easy to get the program to do that. You know, this song, I focused a lot on the vocals, I focused a lot on like the keys, but my low end, it had a lot of space, honestly, a ton of space. So once we started adding bass and kick, like we had room to just let that kick be as fat as it wanted to be, really. I really like this compressor called the Wolf compressor. It was made by this band called Wolfpack. I really rock with them. They have like a really good, like kind of dryish sound to the drums, really lo-fi, you know. So I'm gonna slap those on the drums to kind of like glue it together a little bit. I'm not gonna do too much to it because they're already breathing. They're already from a mixed record, so I don't really gotta do much to them. All right, dope. That's kind of my drum pattern, and I kind of built over the end. Just gonna copy and paste this to some other areas, and go over to the keys and lay a loop.
You're my favorite song. Your melody so strong. When I think of you, you're a dream come true. What a You're the only CD I keep it that way.
Usually when I go into a track for an artist, or in this case it would be myself, I just try to like imitate the other track as much as I can, look for stems that might be available for the track, and then just pretty much start producing up from there, you know, keeping a lot of the integrity of like how the song was written in the song and stuff like that, and then just trying to accentuate certain stuff. For this performance of this song, I'm kind of doing it kind of like a lower dynamic. There's a lot of strings, a lot of grandiism in like this song and this arrangement, but I like to do it kind of chill. So just kind of keys, Rhodes, drums, and everything else we kind of like add on top later. You know what I'm saying?
Your melody so strong.
Now this is extra, this is not for the show track, but I kind of just will show you how I kind of vocal process my Forever Always vocals into something kind of interesting. Today's day and age, a lot of people are doing manipulation of like pitch, transient, doing a manipulation of tempo, and it's like leading people in a lot of different areas with their music. That kind of shimmery type of texture, or the kind of smaller voice that kind of leads everything. It was really funny, like back in the day, like Kanye used to sample a lot of stuff and had the tiny voice in his song, like Through the Fire and stuff like that. And that stuff was hot. I'm not gonna cap you. But a lot of people like Frank Ocean are doing a lot more like vocal manipulation nowadays. And it's bringing us into some new ages of innovative vocal music, honestly. So right now I'm testing out the WA, the Warm Audio 8000. From what I know, it's a remake of one of my favorite mics was the Sony C800. Such an awesome mic. The way I was introduced to it, it was the mic with an ass on it. It always has it has a big cooling system on the back because it gets hot. And the reason it gets hot, a lot of technical things, but what I noticed that it's really, 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 really sensitive to anything. It's, you know, somebody said the C800 could probably pick up your thoughts. Let's test out this Warm Audio. First off, we already turned the power supply on, hooked it up, running through the SSL 6. Not using too much gain, probably like halfway right now. And it's pretty cool. It's not as sensitive as the C800, but it is kind of gluing my voice together and kind of making sure my lows are kind of steady and give me that warmth and kind of still that rasp that you have on the Sony C800. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna slow down my song Forever Always. I'm gonna pitch it down. I'm gonna sing it in a comfortable key that I'm comfortable in, and then I'm gonna pitch it back up. You'll hear me kind of slowing down the tune. Ableton's awesome when it comes to like warping transients again. I'm gonna switch everything from beats mode. If you use Ableton, you'll know that on the audio kind of file on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see where you have your options for slaving the audio to Ableton. And I use beats sometimes. I use all the modes sometimes, but right now I'm gonna go to Complex Pro to kind of give me my smoothest transition from higher tempo to lower tempo. And also to help me out when I pitch this down. So I got it a little bit slower, got it in a different key. Gonna pop a little bit of tune on my voice. You gotta be careful when you're singing what I notice is that when it comes to intervals when singing, the more that you kind of, I guess the ratio between where you change tempos or where your waveforms end up at, it'll stretch though. So if you're sharp, you'll be even sharper when you like kind of speed it up, or if you're flat, you'll be kind of slower. It'll just make that interval, depending on what program you are, really, honestly. It's just a lot of stuff like Speed and Pro Tools is different than what Ableton does. I'm pretty sure Logic has some type of wave processing too that is unique to its own program. You're my favorite song. You're my favorite. It doesn't seem like I have that fear of kind of like distorting or being overly sensitive like the other versions of the C800 always mimics. Because, I mean, that's what you remember from the C800. I don't know if anybody in the room has been able to use one, but as soon as you turn it on, you're hearing down the block of somebody talking about you, you know? All right, let's give this preamp a little love. I'm a really quiet singer, so I love mics like this that really, you know, I don't gotta push nothing. You're my favorite song. Your melody so strong. When I think of you, you're a dream come true. What I'm trying to say is that I'll always. See, I notice myself when I get louder having to pull back. That gives me that C800 feel because, you know, you always have to be sensitive in what you're doing dynamically.
Your melody so strong. Your melody so strong. When I think of you, you're a dream come true.
And that's how I do a lot of my background vocals. That's how I do a lot of my regular vocals. I just kind of like move it around keys. I mean, if it's not comfortable, or if it is comfortable, sometimes I just do it for the texture. You know, if I want to sound more like masculine, feminine, younger, older, I might stack myself in different textures a couple different times. Like, I'll do the same process with my background vocals in a couple different keys, and then bring it all in one key. Sometimes you kind of get that cool old chorusy effect because they've been kind of stretched from so many different keys that it kind of adds that kind of feel. Sometimes you just get like a whole bunch of different voices that don't even sound like you. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. I recommend testing this out with people who like recording vocals in your room. You know, doing it in a different key, different time signature. This is mixed meter, of course, or something different. You know, you might get something different. What I'm trying to say. And there we have it. I would just, without these vocals in it, of course, showing you how I was stretching the vocals, I would use this as a show track, and I would go to the show and play over it with a couple friends.